Hey, what's up everybody? This is John, the Illustrator Sidekick, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to design a mobile app icon that looks just like this. Now, I realize that most of you who are watching this tutorial probably just created the next big app, and you came to me because you want to make an amazing looking app icon so that people will want to download your product. So to get started, we want to create a new project. To do that, I'm going to hit Command N, or you can go up to File and click New, and then we have to name our project. I'm going to name mine the next big app. My size is set to a standard 800 by 600 pixels, and then I'm going to click OK. The first thing we want to do is go over to our Tools panel and grab our round rectangle tool. I'm going to pull this shape out to around 350 pixels, holding down the Shift key the entire time so that the shape sizes up nice and evenly. So 350, it doesn't have to be perfect. We can always go back and resize it later. I'm going to take the stroke off of the shape because we don't need that. And then we want to fill this giant white space with some color. I want my app to be blue, so I'm going to go over to the swatches panel and work with these three blues right here. I'm going to be dragging these into my gradient panel. So if your gradient panel is not out like you see mine here, you can go up to Window and then click on Gradient and it'll pop out for you. So I'm going to grab this light blue and I'm going to drag it down so it's my first slider in my gradient panel. And then I'm going to grab this darker blue and put that right in the middle. It won't be perfect, so you can go down to Location and just change that to 50%. Then I'm going to go and drag this darker blue / purple color and put that on my third slider. Now you see we have a nice even gradient going over our app. I want this darker section to be on the top of the app, so I'm going to go over to my angle and I'm going to change that to 90 degrees. Now our gradient is fading vertically rather than horizontally. Next, I'm going to want to copy this shape and then paste the duplicate right on top. So to do that, I'm going to make sure that my selection tool is selected. I'm going to hit Command C and then Command F. Command C copied the image for me, and then Command F pasted the duplicate right on top of the first layer. So as you see, if I pull away, we have two of the same shapes right on top of each other. I'm going to put that back. Next, we want to create that fade up effect that we see in a lot of the major apps out there today, like the Twitter app or the Facebook app. So to do that, we're going to go over to our Tools panel and grab our Ellipse tool. I'm going to drag this first shape out so it covers around half of my app base. I'm just going to pull it out until I see that smart guide telling me that I've hit halfway. You can do a little higher or lower if you think that that looks better, but I think this looks the best. Next, we want to fill this ellipse with a basic white to black gradient. So to do that, I'm going to click this button right here, and I'm going to click white to black. We're trying to recreate that fade up effect, so to do that I need this darker part of the gradient on the bottom. Once again, I'm going to go over to my angle. I'm going to change that to -90 degrees. This next part is where the tutorial could get a little tricky. I'm going to select all of my shapes by dragging a box over everything, and I'm going to go to my Pathfinder and click on this button that says Divide. Once again, if your Pathfinder panel wasn't in your panel section, you can always just go up to Window and open that up by clicking Pathfinder. So once we click Divide, it automatically groups these objects together. We don't want them in a group, so we're going to right click and just hit Ungroup. What Divide did is separate our object into three different shapes. The bottom of the square is one shape, the top of the square is one shape, and then the top of the oval is another shape. I'm going to put that back. I'm going to go and get rid of some of the extra shapes that we don't need in our app. I'm going to delete the top part of the oval shape and the bottom of the square. It doesn't look like anything happened, but remember, we duplicated the square in the beginning of the tutorial, and what we just did was delete part of the top layer. This is where we want to finish that fade up effect that I was talking about before. So to do that, we're going to select the top part of the square, and we're going to go over to our transparency panel. If the transparency panel isn't in your panel section, you can look it up in Window. From here, I'm going to set it to screen mode, and then I'm going to change the opacity to 80%. We just completed the core part of this tutorial, creating this app base. What goes in front really doesn't matter. You could have your own design, your own logo. I'm going to put a custom symbol that Illustrator provides. So to do that, I'm going to go to Symbols, and I'm going to choose one of the ones in the panel. I don't really like any of these, so I'm going to click on this bottom left button to enter my Symbols library menu. From here, I'm going to go down to Web Icons, and I'm going to choose this speech bubble right here. Get that out of the way. Now to edit this speech bubble, or any symbol in Illustrator, you have to get it into isolation mode. So I'm going to double click it, which brings it into isolation mode. I'm going to make sure it's selected, and just change the color to white. To get out of isolation mode, I'm going to click on this arrow in the top left. I'm going to grab that symbol, and I'm going to put it on top of my app. I'm going to size it up, make sure it's in the center. And now that looks a little bland, so I'm going to give it a drop shadow. To do that, select it, go to Effect, Stylize, and then Drop Shadow. I'm going to change this to around 20%. Look at it in preview mode, and that looks great. So I'm going to click OK. And once you place your symbol on top, you have a great looking app. I hope you had a great time working on a super simple effect. Thanks so much for listening. Once again, this is John, the Illustrator Sidekick, signing out.